Welcome to Car Sales Talk 101, where it's all about life in the car business. Telling you like it is. Here's the man with the plan, Terry Cameron. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Car Sales Talk 101. Thanks for hanging out with me again. This is Terry Cameron. This week I want to talk about how you end your day. We always have a way, an idea of how we're going to start our day, but we need to figure out a proper way to end our day. But before we get to that, I want to remind you to hop on over to Apple Podcast. Give me a rating or write me a review and send me any kind of messages to my email. The lady at the end of this episode will give you that address to send it to, and I'll be more than happy to answer them, which is what I'm going to do right now. I received a message from Jordan. Jordan's a young man that wants to get into the car business. He's about to be, 18 years old, and the car business, selling cars, intrigues him. He's just a little concerned. His question had something to do with how I think the car business is going to be in the future. With all of this automated, the ways you can buy cars with Carvana and have them delivered to your house, or Tesla having them sold directly to the consumer without a car salesperson, he's wondering, is there going to be a such thing as a car salesperson in the future? My answer is absolutely. Now, I heard this the first time probably in the early 90s. I remember being told that we probably would not have salespeople by the year 2000. We probably wouldn't need finance people either. Everybody would just be able to go to a kiosk and order whatever they want. Well, there's a problem with that. Most people don't like hitting a button on a computer or a kiosk that takes $30, $40, $50, $60,000 out of their account, or charges them $30, $40, $50, $60,000 that they have to pay back, without having that warm fuzzy that a salesperson gives to them. I mean, you think about it. You're there, you're wanting to buy a car, you haven't touched it really, you haven't smelled it, you haven't felt anything with it, and now you hit a button, and now it's yours. You owe $40,000, and you don't even know if you like the vehicle yet. So I actually believe that salespeople are going to be around forever, especially good salespeople, Jordan. A good salesperson is going to listen to what the customer has to say, find out why they need it, and help them pick the right vehicle that's going to solve their problems. As far as finance goes, it's the same thing also. Now, finance has changed a lot over the past several years, but it's still a very important part to the car business, and it's always going to be there. Now, we know that people come to the dealership with their financing from somewhere else, but that's still financing, and they still need to see that business manager. That business manager still has products that may be important to that customer that they need to listen to and purchase. So absolutely, we are going to need car salespeople and finance people in the future. So Jordan, if you're intrigued about this, I want you to think about it. And at the end of every episode, I say what I think is absolutely true. The sky's the limit. The harder you work, the harder you get paid. So let's go and get started on what this episode is really about, and that's how you end your day. When I wake up in the morning, and I bet some of you guys are like that too, if not all of you, you kind of know what you're going to do. You get up at the same time every day. Hopefully you're not that person that gets up, jumps out of bed, runs through the shower, dries off a little bit, and hops in their car and does a power slide into their parking place just in time to make it to the morning meeting. What a terrible way to start your day. I think you need to start your day by getting up with a little bit of time. Don't rush. Listen to something. I always say you got to listen to 10 or 20 minutes of something positive every morning, or watch something positive, or read something positive every single morning. Take your time getting to work and get there a little bit early. You can do a lot walk, see what came in over the night, the trades that showed up, and you can be ready to go when it's time to start the meeting. And you know what happens a lot of times when you do that? You're catching up on a lot before the meeting, and you're selling a car before lunchtime. So think about how you start your day. Now, here's something that we don't do. We never, or rarely ever, think about how to end our day. And when I talk about ending our day, I don't necessarily mean parking your cars. I mean, you still need to do that. You need to put all the cars that you had out, get your fleet off the front line in the customer parking and put it out there where it belongs. You do need to make sure all the keys are out of your pocket and put in the appropriate place. And Last but not least, you need to check out with the sales manager before you leave. I'm a manager, and I check out every single time I leave. If I have to go to lunch, I'm letting somebody know where I'm going and what time I'm going to be back. At the end of the day, I let my boss know that I'm leaving and what has happened throughout the day. I used to work for what some people would consider a really hard-ass dealer. But he took a company from nothing to a 500, 600, 700 cars a month business, so he has to know a little bit about what he's doing. And people hated leaving the dealership at closing time. They'd have to walk past his truck. He'd sit in his truck, and you'd have to walk past it, and he'd put his finger out there and point you to come over and see him, and everybody hated it. And he wasn't trying to give them a hard time. All he really wanted to do is find out, hey, what'd you do today? Did you accomplish anything today? Did you sell anything? And if they didn't, then his next question was always, okay, so what's your plan for tomorrow? And that's the question people did not want to answer. And it's because they didn't know what their plan was for tomorrow. So you can plan your day for tomorrow by closing your day properly today. You end your day by making sure you've done all of your follow-up calls. You need to make sure that all your appointments are confirmed, that you got your mail out, and you know what's going on as soon as you get to work the next day. You need to check your desk, make sure it's clean, make sure you have business cards set out there, that your computer's shut off, that you've done everything you're supposed to do before you leave. End the day by starting the next day. Again, call those people that you needed to call. Try to get that one last call in for that appointment. It's not about closing at 8 o'clock and being off the lot at 8:01. You start your closing, probably, about 15, 20 minutes before you need to leave. Of course, that doesn't mean anything if you're with a customer. But if you're not, you need to start preparing for the next day. I would even go as far as to say by 5 o'clock, if you haven't sold a car and you haven't had an opportunity to sell a car, you're probably not going to sell one. So you might as well start working on getting the next day started properly. I always remembered when I sold cars, when I was a salesperson, that if I had appointments scheduled the next day, I felt really good about coming to work that day. I knew if I had 3 appointments on the board that I was going to sell at least one car. I knew it, and I felt good about it. And sometimes I didn't, but most of the time I did, and a few of those times I sold more than one car. So really work on closing your day by setting the next day up. You're gonna feel so much better. Everybody's going to look at you and say, wow, what has that guy done, or what's that girl done that's changed everything? They went from a 10-car salesperson to a 20-car salesperson overnight, and it's just a matter of changing a few little things, changing a few habits, and preparing for the next day at the end of today. So I don't know if I've answered anybody's question there, but again, you need to, when you get to work each morning, you know how you start it. Let's start it the right way. But before you leave that day, make sure you end it the right way. And again, the way to end your day is by preparing for tomorrow, so that tomorrow you're coming to work and not coming to work to wait. You'll be much more successful, make so much more money, and you'll buy into the fact that the sky is the limit. Remember that, and I'll talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please rate it and write a review on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate your valuable feedback. You can email Terry at 10minutesalestalk@haunt.rr.com. And don't forget to share the show with a friend.